If you always saw things differently, you might be a visionary chosen one. Have you ever felt like you were watching a movie that no one else could see? Like you were tuned into a frequency that others weren't even aware existed? Maybe your whole life you've caught glimpses of something deeper, something beneath the surface. You saw patterns in people's behavior long before they played out. You felt energy shift in a room without anyone saying a word. You questioned things that others accepted without pause. And maybe, just maybe, you were told you were too sensitive, too intense, too much. But what if I told you that all of those moments, all those weird perceptions were not flaws, they were evidence. Evidence that you might be a visionary chosen one. See, there are souls among us who are encoded with a different kind of vision. We don't see the world as it is, we see it as it could be. We see beyond what's visible. We sense the truth behind the smile, the pain behind the silence, the potential behind the chaos. And because of that, we often feel like outsiders. We feel the weight of carrying insight that no one else seems ready to hold. But the truth is that burden is also a gift, because the people who see differently are the ones who are meant to create differently. And every great change in history, every revolution of thought, every leap in human evolution began with someone who saw what others couldn't.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But let's be honest, seeing differently isn't always glamorous. It's not all visions and downloads and spiritual highs. Most of the time, it's lonely, it's frustrating, it's alienating. You walk into a room and feel like you don't belong, not because you're broken, but because your soul is tuned to a different mission. You try to share what you see and people look at you like you're speaking another language. You question yourself. You ask, why do I feel everything so deeply? Why do I always notice what others miss? Why do I feel like I was born for something, but I can't quite name it yet? And that's where the journey begins. The moment you stop trying to shut down your perception and start leaning into it, everything changes. You begin to realize that your way of seeing is not a glitch in the matrix. It's a key that can open doors for others. A key that can unlock dormant codes in humanity. But like every key, it only works if you use it. And that means honoring your vision, even when it scares you, even when it isolates you, even when everyone around you is telling you to be realistic, to be quiet, to be less of who you really are. There is a reason the world needs visionaries now more than ever. We're living in a time where the old systems are crumbling. Education, politics, economics, even spirituality. And in the space where those systems are breaking down, something new is trying to be born. But it can't be born from the same level of thinking that created the problem. It needs a new kind of mind, a new kind of heart, a new kind of soul. That's you. You are not here to replicate what's already been done. You are here to reimagine everything. But before you can reimagine the world, you have to reclaim your inner world. You have to stop gaslighting your own gifts. You have to stop shrinking your perception to make others comfortable. You have to stop apologizing for being awake, because greatness doesn't apologize. Vision doesn't apologize. Truth doesn't apologize. It simply is. And when you allow yourself to fully see, fully feel, fully know, without needing permission, that's when your power activates. That's when your reality begins to ripple outward and shift everything around you. And yes, this path is not for the faint of heart, because visionary chosen ones are not just here to see the future, they're here to build it. And to build something new, you often have to walk away from what's familiar. You have to let the old version of you die, the version who played small, the version who waited to be understood, the version who thought they had to earn their worth. That version can't carry the vision. Only your true self can. So how do you begin? You start by listening. Listening to the quiet voice that's been trying to guide you all along. Listening to your body, your dreams, your intuition. You begin by trusting the way you see, even if no one else sees it yet. You begin by creating from the place inside you that doesn't need validation. Because the truth is, most people won't understand your vision until it works. Until the thing you built from your soul becomes undeniable. Until the thing you saw in the unseen becomes visible to the world. And when that happens, they'll call you a genius, a pioneer, a leader. But you'll know the truth. You were always just being you. Let me ask you something that only your soul can answer. If you stopped trying to fit in, what would you finally allow yourself to see? Because the moment you dare to see fully, without filters, without fear, is the moment you step into your role not just as a visionary, but as a mirror. You become the reflection that reminds others of what they forgot they could be. You become the one who doesn't just talk about light, but embodies it. You become the one who sees the cracks in the system and dares to imagine a whole new structure. You become the one who opens minds, softens hearts, and shifts timelines, just by living your truth. That's what it means to be a visionary chosen one. Not to be better, but to be the blueprint. Not to escape the world, but to re-enchant it. Not to conform, but to create. And that creation starts now, with your willingness to see. The edge of perception, why seeing differently is the first sign of a new world. When you stand at the edge of perception, you begin to realize that reality is not as solid as it once seemed. It bends, it breathes, it responds to the observer. And the moment you start perceiving life through the lens of deeper awareness, you are no longer just a participant in the world, you become a co-creator of it. This is the threshold that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. And it's not a matter of intelligence or education, it's a matter of sight. The ability to see through the illusions, through the noise, through the collective programming, and into the core pattern that holds everything together. Visionary chosen ones are those who live at this edge. We don't just see what is, we see what's trying to emerge. But this level of perception doesn't arrive with comfort. It arrives with disruption. Think about it. If you've always seen differently, you've likely felt misunderstood, even alienated. You've walked into a room and instantly sensed tension no one was addressing. You've looked at the way society operates and felt a deep inner resistance, like your soul was quietly screaming, "This isn't right." You've questioned rules others follow without thought, and maybe you've even learned to keep your insights to yourself because you got tired of being told you were overthinking, overfeeling, or being difficult. But what if the very things that made you feel different were your initiation into something sacred? To live as a visionary is to carry a frequency that doesn't yet have a home in the physical world. You are literally holding future timelines in your body. And this is why it can feel so disorienting. When you're connected to what's trying to be born, but the environment around you is still clinging to the old, it creates friction. This friction can show up as anxiety, depression, or restlessness, not because something is wrong with you, but because your inner world is vibrating at a higher rate than your external reality. The visionary path is not about escaping that chaos, it's about transmuting it, turning confusion into clarity, turning pain into purpose, turning perception into power. And perception is power. The way you see determines the way you create. When you shift your perception, you shift your possibilities. And the chosen ones have been gifted with a unique perceptual framework. We see multidimensionally. We see through time. We feel the resonance of truth, even when it's buried beneath layers of conditioning. This is why we often feel like old souls in young bodies, because we carry ancient knowing that most have forgotten. And yet, the paradox is that we're not here to dwell in the past. We're here to build the future. But vision alone isn't enough. It has to be grounded, embodied, lived. Having insight without action is like seeing a path and never walking it. The edge of perception is not just a place of insight, it's a call to movement, a call to alchemize what you see into what you do. That means speaking up when it's uncomfortable, creating art that challenges the norm, designing systems that honor life instead of exploiting it, living in a way that reflects the world you want to see, even if no one else understands it yet. Because every time you act from your vision, you anchor it into the collective field. You make the invisible visible. And that's what changes the world, not grand speeches or viral trends, but individuals who dare to live from their deepest knowing. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. Real enough to trust your own vision over society's noise. Real enough to walk away from what dimmed your light. Real enough to build a life that reflects your soul, not your programming. That's what makes you a visionary chosen one, not just your ability to see, but your courage to act on what you see. Let me ask you something only your higher self can answer. What have you always known but were too afraid to trust? Because that knowing, that quiet truth that's lingered at the edge of your awareness, is the seed of your entire mission. It's the code you came here to carry. And the moment you start trusting it, even in small ways, the universe responds. Doors open, synchronicities align, people enter your life who speak your soul's language, and you begin to remember that you were never here to fit in, you were here to shift everything. But with that shift comes responsibility. Vision is not about superiority, it's about stewardship. You've been given sight not to elevate yourself, but to serve the collective. You've been chosen to see differently because you're meant to build differently. And that means integrating your vision into every part of your life, how you speak, how you love, how you create, how you lead. It means letting go of the need to be understood and anchoring into the truth that you were never meant to be understood by a system you came to dismantle. So here's the invitation. Stop waiting for the world to catch up. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. You are the permission. You are the moment. You are the future reaching back through time, asking you to remember. Because when you stand at the edge of perception long enough, something begins to shift, not just in you, but around you. You become a tuning fork for new possibilities. You become a lighthouse for others still lost in the fog. You become the proof that it's safe to see, safe to feel, safe to know. And when enough of us embody that level of vision, not just in theory but in action, the world will begin to reflect it. Not all at once, not overnight, but inevitably, because perception is the first domino, the first crack in the illusion, the first step towards something extraordinary. The sacred disruption, why visionaries must break the system to build the future. There's a moment in every visionary's life where the tension becomes unbearable, a moment where the weight of what you see, what you know, collides violently with the structures that hold the world together. And in that moment, you're faced with a choice: conform or disrupt. Most people, when faced with this crossroads, choose the comfort of conformity. They bury their truth, dilute their vision, and shrink themselves to fit into a system they were never meant to serve. But the visionary chosen ones, the ones who carry the future inside them, don't have that luxury. We weren't born to maintain the system, we were born to break it. And yes, I said break it, not out of rebellion, not out of ego, but out of sacred responsibility. Because any system that demands your silence, your suppression, your soul in exchange for acceptance is not a system worth preserving. Whether it's education that kills creativity, religion that punishes inquiry, corporate culture that rewards burnout, or social norms that glorify isolation masked as independence, these structures were not built for truth. They were built for control. And when you begin to see through them, you realize that disruption isn't just necessary, it's divine. But here's the paradox. Being a disruptor doesn't always look dramatic. It's not always about protests or revolutions or fiery speeches. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is live in alignment with your soul. To wake up every day and choose authenticity over approval. To speak truth in a world addicted to illusion. To create beauty in a culture fixated on consumption. To embody love in a society driven by fear. That's disruption, that's sacred rebellion. Because when you live from your vision, you become a living contradiction to the narrative that says this is just how it is. And that contradiction is powerful. It shakes people. It awakens them. It forces them to question the stories they've been told. But it also makes you a target. Because people defend what they depend on. And when you challenge the systems they've built their identity around, they won't always thank you for it. Some will project their fear onto you. Some will mock your clarity. Some will try to silence you, not because you're wrong, but because your existence threatens the illusion they've attached themselves to. This is the cost of carrying vision, but it's also the proof of its power. So how do we move through this with grace? We remember why we're here. We remember that we didn't come to fight the old, we came to midlife the new. We're not here to destroy just for the sake of destruction. We're here to dismantle what no longer serves so that space can be made for what does. Visionaries don't just critique the system, they reimagine it. We don't just burn down, we build up. We create models that honor the soul. We design ways of living that nourish the collective. We lead, not with force, but with frequency. Let me ask you something that might shake your foundations. What if the system that keeps failing you was never meant to support the real you? Because once you accept that, something inside you liberates. You stop trying to fix what was never designed to hold your truth. You stop waiting for permission to lead. You stop apologizing for your fire. And you start building, not just for yourself, but for the generations to come. You become the ancestor they'll thank for being brave enough to disrupt. This is the sacred work. This is the path of the visionary chosen one. Not to be liked, but to liberate. Not to fit in, but to forge ahead. Not to maintain the illusion, but to usher in a new reality. And that reality starts with you. your courage, your clarity, your choice to rise. The new blueprint, walking as a visionary in a world that's still waking up. When the fires of disruption have settled and the illusions begin to fall away, what's left is space. Raw, open, trembling space. This is where the visionary's real work begins. Because it's one thing to see differently, to question everything, to tear down what no longer serves, but it's another thing entirely to live in the aftermath, to walk in the world as a new blueprint, while most still cling to the old. This is where your path becomes quieter but deeper. It's not about proving yourself anymore or even explaining yourself. It's about embodying what you know to be true without needing applause, without needing agreement, and without needing to be understood. Because at this point, your life itself becomes the message. To walk as a visionary in a world that's still waking up is to live as a bridge. You carry the codes of what's coming, but you still exist in what's fading. You speak a language of possibility in places that speak only fear. You offer depth in a culture obsessed with speed. You live slowly, intentionally, while the world races past in pursuit of things it will soon discover were never fulfilling. You hold space for others not by preaching, but by presence. You become a mirror, a reminder, a frequency that gently exposes the truth people have been avoiding. And you do it not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. Living this way isn't always beautiful. It often means grieving things others celebrate. It means walking away from opportunities that don't align, even when they offer security. It means saying no to what's popular so you can say yes to what's real. It means trusting the unseen over the proven. And most of all, it means honoring your own rhythm when the world tries to rush you, doubt you, or distort you. This is the true embodiment of your vision, not just holding it in your mind, but weaving it into how you breathe, how you speak, how you create, how you serve. You may feel alone at times, deeply so, but you are never truly alone. Because visionaries are not isolated flames, we are sparks of a larger fire, scattered across timelines, cultures, and lifetimes, all carrying the same memory. We came here to remember, and in remembering to help others do the same. So even in your solitude, you are connected. Even in your silence, you are heard. There are others like you, some ahead, some behind, some awakening now. And your courage to walk your truth gives them permission to do the same. So how do you walk now in this in-between space where the old is dying but the new is not yet fully born? You walk with reverence. You walk with awareness that every step you take is a signal. Every time you choose love over fear, alignment over approval, presence over performance, you are laying bricks for a new world. You don't need a grand stage. You don't need millions of followers. You just need to live your truth with such integrity that your existence becomes a transmission. Let me ask you something only your future self can answer. What kind of world will you leave behind simply because you chose to live honestly now? Because that's the legacy of a visionary. It's not what you say, it's what you shift. The ripples you create by living fully as yourself in a world that begged you to be someone else. The way your presence changes rooms, the way your insight rewires minds, the way your truth invites others home to theirs. That's your real impact. That's the new blueprint. We are not here to escape this world, we are here to recode it, to anchor the light in the darkest places, to bring soul into systems that forgot they had one, and to remind humanity, not with noise, but with embodiment, that another way is not only possible, it's already here. living in you. So walk. Walk not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as one who knows they already are. Walk as vision. Walk as truth. Walk as the future now.